And you're good.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's so nice to see you. We are so excited to have Jay Rogers with Delta Community Credit Union with us today. I'm Candace Boothby, and I'm the president and CEO with the Newnan Coweta Chamber. And we are so thrilled with our video library series that we're creating. And we are so grateful to Delta Community Credit Union for being such a big supporter, sponsor, investor of this. And today we have a treat. If you've not had the chance to interact with Jay Rogers, you're in for a delightful experience, and she's also very knowledgeable. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Jay to share her knowledge and wisdom with us.
Thank you so much, Candace. That was very sweet. I appreciate the introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a small group that we have here, but I think that's great because we'll be able to really have some dialogue. And if you've got any questions as I'm going through the presentation, please do stop me and just ask questions if you have any things to ask. But then also, the beauty of this type of a presentation is that I get to hear about some of the work that you all are already doing with respect to community engagement or corporate social responsibility. So if we get more people on to join us, that's perfect. If not, I think this is a really good size to be able to have great conversation, okay? So first of all, it's great to be with you guys today. The biggest part of it is, you know, we're hopefully going to be able to share the collective energy around this topic, but I do appreciate Candace as well as Susan inviting me to speak on behalf of Delta Community Credit Union for the Coweta Chamber. I need to get back down to Coweta. It's been a minute since I've been on the south side of town, but I am so looking forward to engaging with some of the businesses that are there as well as our community partners. I do know that Sharon Renaud, she is our PR manager. She's on the call as well, and so I will make reference to one of my slides to the work that she is doing and how she greatly supports my team. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It's actually, they're right here. Can everybody see everything?
I don't see it yet, Jay.
You don't see it? Okay.
Mm-mm.
I'm going to go ahead this way. How about that? Can you see everything?
I don't see it. It might be in the background. Let's see. Not yet.
If you have it, this is why we have you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And I am pulling it up as we speak.
Safe method. Methods have done this before.
Teamwork. It's really teamwork and always having a plan, which I know your team knows a great deal about.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and just keep talking until we get to the slides. But this is a topic that I am very passionate about. It really does combine my interest in improving communities and my background in sales. And so I feel as though, you know, I have the best of both worlds. As the Vice President of Business and Community Development, I have a team that helps to generate new business for the credit union, but also a community development team that helps increase our visibility in the communities that we're so privileged to serve. And Coweta County is one of those counties. So today I'm really just going to focus on their efforts and what they do and how we have really streamlined our effort in order to be a good corporate citizen within the 14 counties that we do business.
Mm-hmm.
So are you up and ready?
Yep, just about.
Okay.
Hmm.
When we get to that second slide, it's really going to talk to you just about Delta Community Credit Union. And for those of you who don't know who we are, we're the largest credit union in Georgia with about 427,000 members and about $7.4 billion in assets. And we have 28 branches, 25 of which are here in Metro Atlanta, and 3 are outside of the state where Delta Airlines has their hubs. And so that's Salt Lake City, that's Cincinnati, as well as Dallas. Mm-hmm. There we go. Okay. Is there a way to go to the slideshow so we can just see the screen?
Oh, of course. Yes.
That's good.
There we go.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Susan.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're up and running. So this is a map of the 14 counties where we do business, and we have 2 branches that are coming soon. At the end of this year, we're opening up another branch in Cumming, Forsyth County, and then also by the end of next quarter, 2021, the very first quarter, we'll have another one opening up in Douglasville. So we've got a lot of members who are excited about those 2 branches that will be opening within the next 6 months. And you can see where I have the third bullet point where it lists 14 counties. We have 2 branches that are right there where you are in Coweta County, Coweta Crossroads, and then also in Noonan. And we also have our full service financial institution. That is who we are. We offer a full suite of banking products and services. And as a matter of fact, I knew I was going to be speaking to small businesses today. So I reached out to our small business services team, and they shared with me that we have 637 business members who are managed by a really great team that helps businesses start from applying for an LLC or any other type of license in order to operate their businesses. And that's about 6.47% of our total business population. We know that we have a great opportunity to grow in Coweta County. Okay, so let's get to the next slide, which is really about the subject at hand. And it's about corporate social responsibility, or in this space, we affectionately call it CSR. So the simplest definition, if you're unfamiliar with this term, I think almost everybody does know about CSR or have been a part of community engagement or corporate social engagement. But it's really the type of business self-regulation with the aim of just being socially accountable, right? So there are 4 different types of corporate social responsibility, and some companies will engage in 1 or 2 or sometimes all 4. But the first is environmental sustainability initiatives. The second is direct philanthropic giving, which is usually the most popular. People are really familiar with that through the corporate giving or employee giving. Ethical business practices is the third, and economic responsibility is the fourth. And so the beauty of CSR is that no matter the age or the size of your company, you can pretty much come up with your own CSR strategy based on your focus areas or even the interests of your employees. Sometimes it's a grassroots approach to determine what you want to focus on. If you're a small business operation of maybe 2 to 5 or almost 10 employees, it's pretty easy to identify what makes sense for your own company. What I have on this screen here, they're the results from a survey that was conducted by a company called Blackbaud, or some people might be familiar with what it used to be called, which is Your Cause. And they typically provide an annual report anyway that's around cause marketing strategies or corporate giving and social impact. But what I found about this survey was that they were able to provide statistics on the benefits of CSR trends. And you can read for yourself what's on the screen, but I'm going to just point out the upper left and the bottom right bullets there. So the upper left just talks about how 75% of the companies who responded to the survey, they offer both giving and volunteer opportunities, and that will lead to 2 times more engagement than companies that offer either one or the other, either giving or volunteering opportunities. The bottom right-hand corner just shows that nearly 50% of adults believe a priority method for choosing their charitable partners includes the employee selecting causes aligned with their own self-interest and passion. And I remember when I first got to Delta Community about 8 years ago, one of the first things I had done was poll all of our employees to find out what made sense to them, what would they like for the organization to support. And it ran the gamut from the elderly population and their issues, or animal shelters, to the environment with saving trees, what made more sense for us, which was anything around financial education and financial literacy. And so we were able to identify and then streamline what we were going to focus on as an organization around education, financial education, and the health and well-being of young people. Okay, next slide. And so what I want to just touch on for a couple of slides going forward is what our CSR strategy is. That left-hand side there where you see the wheel, that's going to be the header pretty much for the content of what I'll discuss. So it will go from community to the workplace to marketplace to the environment. And like I said, because CSR is primarily made up of those 4 areas around the environment and philanthropic giving and ethical business practices and economic responsibility, the titles they'll change. So whenever you see information about CSR, the titles will change in order to fit one of those 4 or all 4 of those buckets. So community will be referenced by community development, workplace, the employees, marketplace, our media partners, and the environment will be reflected throughout our Metro Atlanta footprint. Okay, the next one. So the first around community. This is, so what you'll see is a page that comes out of our 2019 Community Investments Report. And this goes out to all of our board members, our community and corporate partners. We don't have shareholders because we are a not-for-profit organization as a credit union, but this is a really good report that outlines where our member dollars are being invested. The most important part that I convey to my team is that we have to be good fiscal stewards of the dollars that we're investing in those communities. So that if anybody from our board chair to a member that we see in one of our branches, if they were to have read this information in the report and asked us, why are you supporting this organization? We have to feel confident in the reasons and then hopefully be able to share the impact that we've made by investing those dollars. So the $850,000 is what we invested in total in 2019. It will vary, we know, this year, given the situation that we're in, but typically we'll support organizations through our philanthropic giving and all the other areas around education and financial education. Next slide. I'm proud to share what we have invested in Noonan and Coweta County. We have had a great relationship with this county for quite some time. And what I wanted to focus on was just the last 6 years of our investments in your county. On the left-hand side, we have the business and community relationships over the last 12 to 15 months. And we work very closely with Candace and Susan on sponsoring some of the chamber activities as well as other corporate events and community relationship activities. I mentioned William Wesley, who I know just joined us on this call, and Pete Joins, who represents our business development department, along with Lou Patton. Those are the ones who work with our corporate groups. And so you'll see on the left-hand side just a snippet of those organizations that we have great relationships with. I'm proud to say that it continues to grow. On the right-hand side is the year-over-year membership growth information. Underneath that, you'll see the 32,500 Coweta County members. It's a fast-growing area for us. I think 2020 is going to have an asterisk by that number, no matter what we report, just because of this anomaly of a year. But I'm proud to say that 1 in 5 residents bank with the community. 1 in 5 Coweta County residents bank with us. And we don't take that lightly at all, which is why we're investing heavily in this county. And so you'll see, starting at the bottom, 2015, we've dipped a little bit from that 7.9% growth down to 5.1%, and we're making our way back up given the opportunities that we have available. And over the last 8 months, like I said, that's going to have an asterisk by that year just because of so many things that have taken place due to COVID-19. What's important for me to convey also is that my team is headquartered up in Vinings. That's where our corporate offices are. And so we rely heavily on the branch teams who live and work in Coweta County to tell us what opportunities would be of great value to not only the Coweta County residents and businesses, but also for the community. We look for win-win situations every single day. And so we know that our number one point of contact, of course, is our branch teams, because they see all of you, if you're members of the credit union, or if you have a business and you're partnering with us in that respect, that we look to you to share with us some of the great opportunities that you have going on, so that we can support you from a financial perspective, but also perhaps serve in a leadership capacity with some of the boards and committees that are taking place in Coweta County. Okay. So we're going to focus now on the pandemic. So this is that big asterisk. I know when Susan and I were talking before everybody joined the call, the word this year is pivot, or shifted, or realigned, or redirected. We did all of that, just as you did. And when probably immediately in mid-March, when the COVID pandemic started to take place and affected all of our businesses, we wanted to look at how we could continue to support those communities that were starting to suffer, but by the summer, many were struggling. And when we were experiencing cancellations left and right from our corporate events as well as our community events, we did not want to pull back completely. We wanted to shift and redirect those dollars that we had budgeted for the year and support those organizations that needed our help. So what you see on this screen is how we did that. The distribution of funds that we had available, as of September 30th, we had supported organizations that were divided up into the 4 areas where we were starting to see quite a bit of sponsorship requests for. And this wasn't the typical galas or luncheons or 5K runs or anything like that. You'll see on the right-hand side what people were asking for. They were wanting support with food pantries or food delivery service, educational tools to bridge the technology gap, small business sustainability, and some of it was literally to help people keep their doors open. Homeless shelters for displaced families, and also at that time, we all remember early on, folks were looking for support to help with PPE, mental health counseling, and testing supplies for healthcare services. So you can see where we were at least a month ago, and we still have 2 more months left. I think it's subsided a little bit, but Susan and I, again, we were talking about how the numbers that we're hearing from the state and federal levels are starting to creep up a bit. And so we're anticipating additional requests to really help support those organizations. The other statistic that the 2 of us were sharing was I had heard that small businesses may total about 40% that may not survive before going into 2021, but that was for all of North America. I think it was a national chamber number that I was reading. And then Susan had heard nationwide that the number could be about 33 to 35%. Either way, those are large numbers, and we're trying to do our best to help those small businesses survive. Okay, next slide. One of the things we always do is think globally. I think we have to because you know, our history has been with Delta Airlines, and we get lots of suggestions, and I know I get calls from some of the folks who travel abroad, but we're based locally, and so we can't invest in organizations that are outside of the state of Georgia or really outside of the 14 counties here in Atlanta. But we think globally, but we act locally. And our investment strategy is, like I said, to continue to strengthen those local communities. We do have some organizations, some large companies that are multinational companies, and so we listen to them and try to hear what it is they're saying are the needs, or how they'd like for us to partner with them during a good year with some of these events. And so I think pictures are worth 1,000 words. And what you see on this slide is how our employees, which is now the workplace arrow on that wheel that I showed you earlier, how we engage our employees in the communities. We're 1,100 employees strong, but we have a lot of folks throughout the 14 counties who want to also engage their family members or you know, some of these external events and activities. So that upper left-hand corner is our Cool Cash Kids Camp attendees. And young people who are in elementary school and middle school, they take part in a program that we have 2 weeks during the summer to teach kids on how to manage their finances at a very early age. Some are already earning allowances. Some are doing their little part-time jobs. And so this just talks to them about earning money, saving money, and investing money. And William, again, who's on the call today and represents our community development team, he's one of the facilitators, and it's a really good program for any of our members to engage their children. The bottom left-hand side is at a golf tournament. In the middle is Lee Patton on the far left as our business development representative, and this is at one of our corporate events, just tabling as we normally do. In the upper right-hand corner is our philanthropic fund committee, and they're the ones who truly do read through the applications that we receive through our annual philanthropic fund program, where we typically get about 400 applications that come through, and we'll award grants to about 15 to 18 of those, depending on what their focus areas are. Okay. Again, this is a workplace arrow that's on that wheel, and I entitled this header "Dream Big," because when you're talking about your own community investment strategies with your small businesses, or if you're with a large company on this call, one of the things you need to do is just figure out, and I know you do, you're entrepreneurs and you're looking out into the future, but how can you make a significant impact, and what will that be? As I said, when I started with Delta Community 8 years ago, one of the other things that I did immediately out of the gate was sit down with my team and just ask them, if we were to win the most elite award out there for the work that we do, what would it be? And immediately, one of the team members who'd been with the organization for about 5 years prior to my arrival had said that he wanted to win the Desjardins Award for financial education. I had no idea what that was. And so he explained to me that this was the top honor that any credit union, and in some cases other financial institutions, could receive by talking about and by sharing what they do around financial literacy. I think today, and it's been like this forever, that you can never have too much financial education. And that's starting at the young level, young person's level, as well as all the way up to an adult level. On the right-hand side, we've been doing just that since 2017 and winning first place for our youth and adult financial education at both the state level and then at the national level. We've received second place and honorable mention for our financial education program. I know that for those of you who are on this call, you are dreaming big, and it would be exciting to hear about some of the things that you're doing, because that's what sustains our organizations, yes? So I just wanted to share that bit of information, because we continue to think about how we can reach out to people who are in need of budgeting assistance, or cleaning up their credit, or opening up their first 401k, or leveraging information in order to retire responsibly. And so it's something that we take pride in and will continue to do so.
And Jay?
Yes.
I placed my email in the chat if anyone wants to reach out.
Okay, thank you, William. William is available if any companies or community organizations would like for him to come out and speak on any of the topics that I just mentioned, and there are many, many more just about financial literacy and education. So this next slide references our marketplace. So this is the third arrow that's on that wheel that I referred to earlier. How do we get the word out? How do we tell our story? And as small business owners, I know that you're doing this quite often, which the Chamber provides an outlet for you to do so. And so what we do is partner very closely. I mean, it almost feels like we're part of the marketing and communications team and vice versa. But Sharon Renault is on the call. I know she's driving, but she's our PR manager, and we work with her to share what it is we're doing in the community to increase our visibility with all of the counties where we're privileged to work. It can mean writing a press release or working with Family to Family, which is a program of WSB, 11 Alive has a Company That Cares program where we also submit stories and we brainstorm with them on what their viewers would want to hear and see from Delta community and how we're making an impact. And then, of course, you can't leave out social media. Every single area within social media is how we engage with our membership base, who will have attended some of our events. They've been beneficiaries of some of the workshops that we've held, but it's a way for them to continue on with sharing what we're doing, and it has legs. It continues for sometimes weeks after the event has taken place. But this is big, and hopefully you all are doing that as well, so that people will see what it is you're doing and be able to take part in it and support your businesses. The next one, I'm going to spend, how much time do I have, Susan?
You're okay, Jay. We've got plenty of time. We're coming up on 3:30, but I definitely want you to finish your train of thought here, because I know we have a couple of folks on this call that can greatly benefit from what you're sharing.
Perfect. Okay, good. Well, now I'm going to take us outside of the state of Georgia. For some companies, like I said, we work with multinational companies that are located in Metro Atlanta. And if you haven't seen or heard about the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, we call them SDGs. This is an area where in 2015, the United Nations adopted these goals, and they're very specific on how to help end poverty and reduce inequality and build a more peaceful, prosperous society by 2030. And quite a few companies around the globe, we know how many large companies are based here in Atlanta, are taking advantage of this layout. It pretty much explains how you can adopt some of these goals internally within your own companies, based again on what your business model is, to go ahead and make an impact. And this is a much larger impact on a grander scale. And so I know Bank of America, Ritz-Carlton, UPS, they have adopted these goals as just a few examples. But what I want to do is just take these 17 goals, because I know it's a little bit hard to see, and we'll just bring up the next slide, which will have examples of 4 goals that have been adopted by very well-recognized name-branded companies. So you can see. I just pulled 4 that I knew of these companies and what they were doing. You can see on the far left, the 3rd goal that's of the 17 is good health and well-being. Kaiser Permanente has adopted this as one of their sustainable development goals, and it makes sense, doesn't it, right? They already invest in healthy communities just because they're in that line of work. If you scoot over to North Face on the far right, I'm from Denver, Colorado, and so I love this one that North Face has done. They've adopted life on land and protecting outdoor areas. It's something, you know, growing up hiking and camping, it's one that is close to my heart, and it was nice to see that North Face had adopted this one of their goals. And you can see Kimberly-Clark and Nike and what they have done in support of this effort. Next slide. So I just want to touch a little bit on what it means when companies are starting to take more of a stand. Recruitment, retention is really big, especially when you're starting to talk about recruiting top talent or just talent in general. There's so many young people or people who've been in the workforce for a while. When they're starting to look for jobs or being recruited by companies to take great, jobs with companies for a very long time, this is one of the areas that they're really considering when they accept or decline positions. And I'll just mention a couple of these bullet points. When companies take a stand and they share that with their employee base, they have noticed trends. And this goes back to the Blackbaud reports, and these statistics here I gathered from the For Momentum 2018 survey that was done. And you'll see that turnover drops by 57% in employee groups that are most connected to their company's giving and volunteering efforts. Another one is that the tightening labor market, specifically competitive pressure for companies to recruit and retain talent, is a key driver of the brands that are taking stands movement. And you'll see on this next slide what I mean by that. But when CEOs take a stand, 63% of the American public believe that CEOs have a responsibility to take a stand on an important societal issue, especially if the issues are related to their business. Not everybody feels this way. I completely understand that, but it does make you relate to the company. We hear about this all the time. If they have taken a stand around an issue that means a lot to the employee or to the CEO themselves because they have experienced an issue, or just the company at large with the support of their internal employee base. And so the next slide will let you see how some companies have really taken advantage and taken it to the next step that many companies I don't think are brave enough to do, but that's completely fine. Because think of all of the constituents that are associated with your own business, no matter what the size is, whether it's your shareholders, your board members, your customer base, your employee base, and those are serious individuals and constituents that you need to consider when you do decide to take that next step. And so I highlighted this one, bold corporate stands on social issues, because just within the triangles themselves, you can see, and I know you've heard about the stands that some of these CEOs and companies have taken. I mentioned these companies not to be political or controversial, especially in the climate we find ourselves in right now, but it's really just to illustrate the tough decisions that companies are making when it comes to taking that stand. I'm going to just pull out a couple of them. When you see CVS and how they decided to stop selling cigarettes about 6 years ago, you can imagine that selling cigarettes is a very lucrative business. As a matter of fact, they were taking in $2 billion a year from tobacco shoppers. But at that time, CEO Larry Merlo said that selling them was at odds with the new CVS health mission of putting people on a path to better health. And so they stopped selling cigarettes, and they put themselves in a position to become a leader in the high-margin healthcare business. And so by taking steps to become a tobacco-free generation, they started to then announce a $50 million campaign to help stop teen vaping last year. We all remember in the news about so many situations where vaping was serving as a detriment to the health of young people. And so their annual revenues have continued to increase ever since they stopped doing that, because that's a whole different customer base that they were attracting because of their decision just to stop selling cigarettes. Another one is REI. Of course, I'm going to pick out all the ones that have anything to do with outdoor gear or outdoor living. But environmentalism is a natural fit for outdoor gear sellers. And so with REI, some of you might remember, and it was almost around this time, 5 years ago, when they started the hashtag opt out of consumerism. Remember when they were allowing their employees not to work on Thanksgiving Day? As a matter of fact, they closed on Thanksgiving Day, which was, it was Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And so they gave their employees an opportunity to go outside, enjoy nature. And when they had done that, people thought they were crazy. But I think at that time they were following the lead of Patagonia. Some of you might have Patagonia gear. They were following that lead to be closed on Black Friday so that their employees and their customers could just be outside. And they created hashtag opt out. And so they continue to do that by closing every Friday after Thanksgiving, and their revenues hit a record in 2018 as a result of that. That's a bold stand, especially when everybody is shopping on Black Friday. This year is going to be different, right? With COVID-19, it'll be interesting to see how many companies decide to even have Black Friday shopping. But I just wanted to share that because if you wanted to take it to a whole different level, if you wanted to, start with your focus locally, and then if you wanted to look at something that's more international, like with the United Nations Sustainability Goals, or if you just wanted to take a social stand, that's another option. But I just wanted to share with you what corporate social responsibility companies are doing in order to either increase their revenues or to bring on new consumers, or just to be able to please their employee base and shareholders as well as their board members. The next slide, which should be, yes. My question to you is, what is the commitment to your company's brand, reputation, and bottom line? And it's exciting, you know, when I just hear about what some small businesses are doing, mid-sized companies like ourselves, and even large companies, what they're doing, because sometimes it's the same thing. Sometimes it varies just given the resources that people have. And the last slide. Are there any questions about the resources that I've listed, or the sources, I'm sorry. You can see For Momentum, Your Cause and Blackbaud, Capital was another one, but there's so many. If you just Google CSR, there is a whole host of research and white papers and examples of what companies have done to not only get started, but to maintain that level of social engagement. So I'll go ahead and stop right there. Are there any questions?